Well, Will, it feels like just yesterday we were at your introductory press conference. Does it feel like time's flown by now as we're kind of nearing the end of the season?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, it does feel like time has flown by. It also feels like it's been a long summer. But yeah, you know what? We're coming to the ballpark having fun every day, so it hasn't been too long.
We're sitting in here at Rate Field. Do you ever take time to come out and just kind of take all this in before the crowd gets in and the game starts going?
Absolutely, especially in the summer when it's nice. Just to be out on the grass and in the ballpark without a game going on is obviously special.
What have you learned so far your first season as a manager? I know you've played, you've coached, and you've worked in the front office, but first year as a manager, what are some things you've learned?
It's been a lot. There's been a lot to learn. Made a bunch of mistakes and had to learn from those. Luckily we've had such a good group of players and staff that have covered up a lot of my mistakes. But you know what? I've learned, that this role needs me to be different day to day. The messaging that I have and give to the players on one day might need to change the next day. And so I think, baseball is all about adjustments, and I've just learned more than anything how I need to adjust in this role.
How has your messaging evolved going from maybe earlier on in the season, first few games, to now?
Yeah, I think it's changed in a lot of different ways. Number one, just what we select to have messages about. I think it's changed where, admittedly there might have been some things that were maybe too complex early on where we just really needed to simplify things and say, hey, let's just run hard and start from there. And so, also the tone has to change sometimes too, as, we go from giving guys guardrails to, demanding, certain types of performances in certain areas, whatever it might be. The tone changes from thing to thing, and we've had to be able to do that.
You took over a team that lost 121 games last season, obviously in the midst of a rebuild, but talk to me about the process of being in the middle of a rebuild. What goes into that?
Well, I think, regardless of where you're at and you call it whatever you want to call it, we just know that we're trying to get better every single day. And so that's what our focus is what are the things and the areas and what can we accomplish today to move this organization forward. And we're, going in on those things and being aggressive to those things. So, I don't think that really ever stops, but we certainly have our work cut out for us.
Was there a moment, maybe inside the clubhouse or just throughout the season, that you realized maybe there's a culture shift that's happening in what you're wanting to?
Yeah, there's been a bunch. I think, one a good example is, early on in the season, I would get the group together after a win, especially if somebody had a milestone accomplishment, Benny's 100th home run or to whatever, just to recognize the individual and say something nice about the group. And that's something that I did the first couple weeks, and then before I knew it, these guys were meeting by themselves after games and giving each other some love, and I just thought it was a really good example of them taking ownership over our program and the way that we do things, and that's shown up in a number of different areas.
Talk to me more about this group. I mean, they're young, obviously, but they're fun. But what's impressed you most about them?
It's been impressive. Number one, everyone's got their own story of how they got here, and certainly each guy is excited and motivated to have the opportunity here. But it's just been a really cool collection of guys where, I have these young guys, some Rule 5 picks, guys that are really just trying to find their way in this league. And then they've been really well supported by a really good group of veteran players, and Martin Perez and Michael Taylor, and a bunch of these guys that have just done a really good job supporting these young guys. So, for me, it's just been cool for each of them to come together and be connected. They get along, they support each other, they all have their high fives and spend time together, and I think really like each other, which, for me is a great place to start.
What have you learned when it comes to balancing out, developing those young guys, but you obviously want to go out there and win, right, no matter what the record is?
Yeah, I don't think that, developing young guys and trying to win is mutually exclusive. I think that there's lots of opportunities, especially when you have as many young guys as we have. They're learning something every day, and they're developing every day. And I think being in the situations where, we played a lot of one-run games, a lot of close games, as early in the season where those haven't gone our way and we've made mistakes in those situations, these guys learning how to better deal with those, and then recently getting more results, in those closer games. Again, these guys continuing to learn everything they can from those experiences. So, we're going to go out every day and do our best to win the game, but there's certainly a lot of development that comes along the way.
You mentioned those one-run games. How have you and your coaching staff been able to instill that never give up mentality?
You know what? We really haven't. That's all the players. These guys do it themselves, and there's definitely times of the year where it's on the staff to really give the group energy, and do everything you can to just give of yourself for them, because that they're running on fumes at certain points. But that's really them just going out there and committing to the group, committing to each other, and saying, hey, what? Regardless of what happened yesterday, we're going to go out here and give them everything we got.
When you see guys like Edgar Caro, Kyle Teal, Chase Mydroth, Colson Montgomery really show progress, what does that say about the direction of where this is headed?
It's really exciting, and I think, just beyond those guys, it's kind of the types of guys that we're getting, certainly talented guys, but guys that are motivated, are good teammates, want to go out there and compete. To me, you got to go back to Getsy in the front office and their approach in acquiring these types of guys. It makes my life easier when you have kind of the character of guys that they brought in, and certainly makes for a good performance. When you have guys that are like that are able to take information and go out and play well. So it's really exciting, and just something that's really nice to see.
Colson Montgomery, how impressive has he been since he's been called up?
It's been really impressive. I mean, what he's doing on the field is amazing, and I just think about his story. Where obviously he's a high pick, and all the attention as a big prospect, and then struggling in the minor leagues to the point where we thought it was necessary to send him to Arizona, hit the reset button, and the way that he handled that, not just with the positive attitude, but going to work, coming back and putting himself in a spot where he forced his way in the big leagues and then is performing like he is here. It's just really cool. It just makes you want to root for the guy. Just a great kid who did a great job taking advantage of an opportunity to get better, and the results have now spoken for themselves.
Speaking of results, what has sparked this turnaround since the All-Star break? Was there a message that you gave him before, or?
We collectively, and it's really about the players and what they've done,
Yes.
But yes, as a staff, we wanted to be more direct about the things that we wanted, and yes, changed our tone a little bit. But from then, it's really about the players and taking ownership. From the position players side, it's really about these guys, shorten their moves and being aggressive with the fastball early in the count. Which is a lot easier said than done, but it is a mindset. It's how you go about your training, and how you take your approach to your at bat, and they've just collectively committed to doing that, and I think between that, the way that our pitchers go about their business, the way that we've just continued to fight and compete, we're getting much better results.
What are some things that you and your staff value? What kind of guys do you want inside this clubhouse?
The kind of guys we got, honestly, guys that show up every day, that are convicted in what they're doing, but are willing to work with you and understand that there's areas that they can get better at, and are excited about taking that journey along with the coach. And those are the kind of guys we have. Man, these guys are great guys to coach. They're still learning and developing, but they're going about it in a fun way, and like I've said before, it just makes it a lot of fun when you have those types of players. We have the kind of coaches that we have. Makes it fun to show up every day.
I know you said before how these last few games are meaningful to you guys. How do you continue to keep this group engaged and maybe avoid losing 100 games?
Hey, as far as like losing 100 games, obviously wins and losses matter a ton for us, and they are the truest measure of our success on a daily basis. But it's just, our record is not something that we've talked about all year. And so now to put, 100 losses in front of these guys, it's really not kind of our carrot. We're just going to go out and play our type of baseball and do the things that we've committed to doing, and hold each other accountable to that, and that's how we're going to finish strong.
Sox fans have had to be patient for a while now, but what is your message to them when it comes to what's ahead?
Yeah, well, first of all, just like really appreciative of the White Sox fans. You know, obviously coming off of last year, like at the beginning of this year where we weren't getting some results, there was some, you know, stuff going on the field that wasn't, you know, great, but they showed up, you know, and really gave us energy. And as our team has grown and I think our fans have identified with the type of baseball that we're playing now. It's been really cool to watch the fans come out and be even more supportive. And I know that it's hard to ask for patience, but I think that we're seeing this thing move in the right direction and are excited about where it's going. And you know, more than anything, we're excited to continue to put in the work. So I just asked them to hang in there because it's happening. It's happening.
For sure. Will Venable, thanks for the time.